Are live and welcome everybody to this episode of the I Can't Believe. I mean, I am not cancer. I can't believe that I am here with the super Bianca. I'm giving away her little secrets as we go, but I just want to mention to everybody if this is your first time tuning in, really the mission of our show is to kind of inspire hope, really to inform you to make good decisions around your treatment and your cancer, and then also to give you the tools to empower you. And on tonight's show, we are actually get to be joined by Miss Bianca. I always say your name, Ilich.
Absolutely correct.
Woohoo! Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited to have you. And so, one of the things I love to ask people to do is just to share a little bit about their life before cancer showed up. So, could you just share with us a little bit about, I know a little bit about you, but I want everybody else to know a little bit about you. So, could you share a little bit about your life before cancer came knocking on your door?
Yes, absolutely. So, first, thank you for having me. And yes, so I graduated the theater academy back in Bulgaria, in my home country. And I was a professional actress. I was performing in a couple of different theaters back in Bulgaria. And then I got invited to perform at the national television to be a co-host of a TV show. And yeah, that was Bianca before the cancer. That's when Super Bianca was born. And today is something different. But back then, before the cancer, Bianca was happily married, healthy, funny, naive, and happy person.
And when was it that you came to the United States?
2013. 2013, I came to New York City and start pursuing my dreams and live the life in the big country.
Yeah, it's you know what? I have the most utmost respect because I cannot imagine what it was like, to leave a homeland behind and your family is still in Bulgaria.
Yes, my mom and dad, they're there.
Yeah, I just listen. You're one of the bravest people that I know. I just think of anybody that sort of transplants their life, to a brand new country is just incredible, and that is inspiring on its own. Um, and so, can you share a little bit about how? Because one of the things I found in interviewing people is that everybody's had, even though there's a common experience to being diagnosed with cancer, you know, it's interesting how people are led there. Some people by sheer accident, some people by going to the hospital. Could you share a little bit about what led you to even, kind of being given this cancer diagnosis in the first place?
So when I was first diagnosed with cancer, I mean, in the beginning, when you're diagnosed, you don't understand what that means, what includes, what's going to happen. Just, the fear because of the cliche and what everyone is saying, cancer equal death. And you're thinking, oh my God, I'm going to die. That's the first thing that I was thinking. But then when everything started, slowly, I mean, first I went really down and then I start building my confidence to think that actually cancer it's a disease that exists in 21st century and doesn't discriminate age, nationality, race, anything like that, and it's just a disease. It's like epilepsy or being diabetic or whatever. I mean, it's just a disease and you have to beat it.
You know what, Bianca, I am so glad you said that because that is absolutely my philosophy as well. You know, it's a disease, and when I learned more about cancer, and I read that really everybody has cancer. It's just some of us, you know, it sneaks by our immune system. And for me too, it was looking at it as a disease, just again, as if I had diabetes or if I had asthma. Um, and what's interesting, you said you sort of went to this dark place. And did you too kind of equate, this is it, I'm going to die? Um,
In the moments of pain,
yeah,
when I was in the most pain, I'm sure that every cancer patient now will relate to me. When you're in the bathroom, vomiting, with uh, pulling your hair of pain, and actually the hair is staying in your hands. When you're in this moment, yes, I was thinking that I'm gonna die, or maybe it's better to die because I was in such extreme pain because of side effects and everything, that I was thinking it's better to die. It will be much easier. But
yeah.
honestly, the whole journey, the whole cancer journey, I never thought that I would die. I knew that I would live, and there's much more things that I have to do here.
Hmm. You know what? You said something interesting, and the last guest that I had on had shared something to this too, and that was she looked ahead and she sort of had these goals of what she still wanted to do in her life, and she felt like that pulled her. You know, you were young. I remember reading or hearing you say, you know, that really it was just the first quarter of your life.
I mean, yeah, when I was diagnosed, I was 33. Now I'm 36. So actually, I'm very lucky and very grateful because 33, I was diagnosed 36. I'm almost done. I'm still going through the process with a lot of follow ups and medications and all of this stuff, but I'm almost done. I'm almost at the end. And I did so many things in my life since I was diagnosed. My life completely changed. Like I started a new life, absolutely new life, life in every aspect.
Yeah. Like what? Share with us. What did you end up doing that you say is new life and just brought you so full of life?
So, in the beginning of the conversation, I mentioned that I was happily married. One
Yes.
of the things that I did is that um, I decided to step in for myself and to get divorced after the cancer. So I lost my job because of the pandemic and COVID. Um, the date of my 35th birthday, I moved out from my old apartment and moved to absolutely new apartment on June 3rd. Same year, it was my last chemotherapy, and the end of the year, I was officially divorced. So basically, I started absolutely new life. Divorced person. So now I'm 36, divorced with no job. I don't know if that's a compliment.
and and she says this with a smile on her face. Now, have you always had this sort of inner resiliency, or is this something that really being diagnosed kind of brought to the surface?
I always had the smile, and I always believed that there is much more bigger things than this, to be with no job or to be divorced. Yes, it's very challenging, it's painful, but it's another milestone that we have to fly above it.
I like how you say that, fly above it, because it really gives it, you know, some people think, oh, you just got to like plow through it. But you didn't say, you know, plow ahead or plow through it. You said take the high road.
I mean, I do believe that we actually can fly, and I do believe that we're all superheroes. And my Super Bianca alter ego from the national television back in the days from Bulgaria, before it was just a name, Super Bianca, but now actually turned out into reality because I do start believing in superheroes, and I do believe that I have powers, and you have superpowers, and whoever is watching us right now have superpowers, because when we face the right challenge, we discover deep in our soul that yeah, we're superheroes and we can do incredible things. I will never
Yeah.
forget, I watched a documentary on Discovery Channel about people in extreme situations. And there was a person who was repairing his car, and he was under the car, and he was repairing the car, and for some reason the car fell um, on him and smashed him. And his mother, who was 80 years old, absolutely not physically able, she was so scared of the whole thing that she went and she left the car, which is physically not possible. And that's what they said, that when we are in extreme situation, our superpower showing up. And that's what I'm doing, the movie that I'm doing, the documentary movie that I'm directing right now, The Real Superheroes. And I'm interviewing people as you, trying to prove that actually superheroes exist, and we are all superheroes.
You know what's interesting? I didn't see that documentary show, but I heard about it. And I had, somewhere I'd also heard that very same thing you just said. That when we think that we can't, really inside, we have the ability inside of us to do it. And again, here is this 80-year-old woman lifting this automobile off of her son, and he lived
Yeah,
because she was able to do that.
yeah,
and
she proved that she
and
has superpowers.
yeah, and I think what you're saying is something really important too, though, and that is, I think sometimes people, we stop ourselves because we think too much, like, well, I can't do this, or I don't know how. And really what you're just saying is to kind of look within, because what you need is already inside of you. It's just letting it come through. Am I
Exactly.
right?
Yes, absolutely. I'll never forget when I was studying in the National Academy back in my country in Bulgaria. My professor, he was always saying as a joke that for an actress, you don't have to be smart, which is kind of a funny. I mean, it's funny to say that, but on some point I was thinking, and he's absolutely right. When they ask you to play a horse on the stage, you don't ask what type of horse, you just play horse. So thinking about and analyzing, I don't think it's helping. Through my journey, there were so many people who doesn't know me, and they just contact me because of my posts on Instagram or whatever, and they're thinking, and they're half doctors already, because oh, I was diagnosed with brain cancer and now I'm researching what I should do. And they're so aware. I'm not saying to put your hand in the head in the sand. I'm not saying to not think about it all, but too much analyzing and thinking about it doesn't help. Just jump and do it.
Yeah. I think your point that you're making is so important, and that is, educating yourself is important. Being informed is important. And that's what you're saying, learning, the researching, but the overthinking and the analyzing is where we can kind of get in trouble. I'm always reminded that of, what is that saying? Paralysis by analysis. That too
Well
much
said.
information is not good for our brains, because then it gets paralyzed by information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Absolutely agree with this. So In the beginning, I was the same. I was thinking so much. The machine never stopped. I was thinking what I should do, how I should do it, but what's going to happen if this, if that, and all of this. There is no way, if you were just diagnosed or if you're going to treatments, to not think about it. But I personally advise of the people who are diagnosed with any type of cancer to trust their medical team, because in the States, trust me, they're the best. I mean, I've seen a lot of medical teams from back from my countries, and not that the doctors are not smart or they don't know what to do, just the care team is totally different. So I'm very grateful. Speaking of which, I should just say that I'm extremely grateful to my team, to the NYU Langone and Mount Sinai Hospital, because I mixed two hospitals, to my care teams. My oncologist, Dr. Belenkov and his team, and my breast surgeon, Dr. Jennifer Lehman, and plastic surgeon, William Sampson.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. Now, I'm curious, did the first team and the first team members that you came across, did you feel that connection and trust to them right away, or was that, something that just sort of developed? Um, was it the first providers that you saw?
So basically, what's happened in my story, I was diagnosed with my um, gynecologist. My gynecologist sent me for a mammogram.
Yeah.
When I did the biopsy, and when he called me to tell me the results, he was almost crying on the phone, which is, I mean, not typical for a professional to cry over a patient. But we became, I mean, we developed a relationship between us. And he sent me to a breast surgeon, which is one of the best breast surgeons in New York City, Dr. Lehman. And I will never forget, I was so scared because I didn't have anyone here in this country. And we sat down with her, and she wrote a list what I should do, steps, all of the steps, what I should do. And
Wow.
she sent me to oncologist, and I went to the oncologist, but I don't know. I mean, not that she was a bad oncologist or anything like that. She was incredible. Just my sixth sense
Yes,
told me to
your
go.
gut, your intuition.
My intuition told me to go and find a second opinion.
Yeah.
And I went and I found a second opinion of oncologist. And the moment that I saw them and I started talking with them, I said, this is it. Yes. And I kind of, I mean, I felt like Dr. Belenkov, my current oncologist, is like my father figure. And I said, okay, I'll stay there. And the nurses, oh my God, incredible. They just grabbed me for the hands and they said, don't worry about it. We're here for you. So I love them. I mean, I'm alive because of them.
You know what? That I am so glad though you talked about going for a different opinion, because my experience was my gynecologist, had done a test, and for me it was endometrial cancer, and and I thought, oh, I'm going in to talk about medicine. Lo and behold, it was to tell me the results of this biopsy, um, which I honestly at the time didn't even know that I had had. So you're right. And initially the surgeon I saw was fantastic. Again, it was a woman. I don't know if that had anything to do with it for me, but and then the first oncologist I saw, something just didn't strike me the right way. So I got a second opinion. I went there, and then something there started to rub me the wrong way. And then I got two differing opinions. This one said, this many chemos. This one said, this many chemos. And a girlfriend of mine who I consider a guardian angel, and sounds like your team and the nurses were a bit of your guardian angels as well, said, Carol, why don't you go for a third opinion? And I did. And immediately I felt this sense of, relief, and just, okay, I'm in the right place. And I think it's important for us to just or encourage people, pay attention to what is your gut telling you, what is your intuition telling you. Because it's an important, it really, who you are getting your care from makes all the difference in the world.
I totally agree, and it's very interesting that, for example, in my country, in Bulgaria, people they don't go for a second opinion. They think that it's wrong and that you don't respect the doctor, and it's not about this. It's not about the doctor. It's about you in this moment and how you feel. But yeah, I'm glad that I did it. And again, not because my first opinion it wasn't right, or it wasn't giving a. I just didn't feel it. I
Yeah.
didn't feel it. It was mine. So that's the reason that I went for my second opinion and choose the second opinion.
Yeah. Well, and I think what you said in Bulgaria, but I am sure there are plenty of people here in the United States who feel that same way
Maybe,
about,
yeah.
you know what, the doctor. And quite honestly, I have heard of so many different survivor stories. I had a woman that I had known of who had brain cancer, and her husband was a physician, and so he told her to go see this one doctor, and this one doctor told her, you know what, there's really nothing we can do, kind of, you have 3 or 4 months to live. And she said, you know what, I'm not going to settle for that. And she went and found another doctor and ended up there was something they can do, and she's alive 10 years later. So I agree with you that it's not disrespecting the doctors. It's just really kind of want, even if you get two of the same opinion, that's good. That's just the confirmation. But I think it has to do with how you feel. And if you feel like trust, I think it all comes down to two, the relationship that you have with a provider. And I say that to you because I am a healthcare provider, and there are people who will work with me and it'd be great. And there are people who might say, oh, Carol, you just, you're too much for me. And I don't take it personally because I realize that that's a really important thing to have. Um, and you said something too that I think is really incredible, is that you really didn't have any family here in the US. And so, where besides your team did you find support, to sort of kind of pull you and push you through this?
Um, I found support, actually, a lot of support, and I called American Cancer Organization. They actually share with me a couple of resources. My social worker from the hospital, he shared a couple of resources, and I found out that there's a lot of organizations here in the States who help people like me, and they were my biggest support. I started going to Gilda Club in here in New York City for yoga and meditation. I started going for a therapist at Cancer Care. Um, I was doing all of this stuff through the cancer organizations that they offer us, and I'm so grateful. I mean, honestly, I even joke, of course, this is just a joke, but I will miss my cancer. They treat me so nice and they offer me so much that what's gonna happen to me when I finish cancer treatments. I will miss all of these wonderful, wonderful things that I've done.
It- you know what? I think that it's important for you to still find a way to stay connected, to those organizations. And what I think is great is that I know of Gilda's Place, and I know that it's not just in New York. There are different places across the country, and just a really great support resource. And I have to come full confession because I too, kind of went online because I worked in healthcare for 30 years, but I didn't know anything. I'm a clinical social worker. I've been a therapist. I didn't know anything about cancer though, even though I worked in hospitals. So I had to do a lot of looking, and I found cancer care, and that actually that was how I discovered you,
Yes,
because you were one of the stories. And I was, of course, kind of like you stole my heart both ways. One, because you said that you thought your life had ended, and then your therapist and social worker there had kind of got you to see otherwise, that it didn't. And then the fact that, you just had this hope and inspiration. I just thought, okay, I got to talk to this woman. We have to share her story, because it's really a story to share with others, that you can get well from cancer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can get well. Absolutely. Now I believe in that. Before I wasn't sure. During the process, I wasn't sure that it's possible, but now I do believe in it.
Yeah. And so what I wanted to do is, I have a couple questions. We have a little bit of time. I think you kind of answered this one, but I want to kind of set this, just get your words again. What is one or more things you would pass on to others who might be experiencing a cancer diagnosis right now?
My advice to all the people who are experiencing and they're just diagnosed or they're going through treatments, it will be try to count on all of the support that it's provided here in United States by becoming a part of any groups, becoming a member of any clubs, visiting all of the support groups and all of this. In my case, this helps a lot. And never stop believing, because the hope, it's the thing that never die.
Well, and you know what I think is so important about what you said, and I just want to reinforce, is that sometimes if you may not have the hope yourself, it's being around other people that have it for you, until you can sort of kind of bring it into yourself as well. And there's a great book I read called Radical Remission, which is written by, of course, a social worker, just a little partial, and that I love, because it gave great stories of hope and inspiration, and I call it the survivor mindset. And Bianca, you have that. It's that survivor mindset, not that illness mindset, not the cancer mindset, but it's really about, nope, you know what? I have more in my life that I'm going to do. And you embrace the diagnosis, instead of sort of fighting it, and just said, you know what? It's a wake up call. And it seems to me that you've done and used it to just really make your life so much more full.
The movie is motivational and encouraging story of people who are going through challenges.
Well, you know what? I am certainly looking forward to it, because if kind of bring it to life, as you've sort of, kind of just shared and brought yourself to life in this process, I think it's going to be pretty darn amazing.
So the most important that I want to share with everyone is that never stop believing yourself and keep fighting, because there's so many challenges in our life, maybe a cancer, a COVID, or anything, but we just have to believe that we actually can fly. And as high as we fly, as far as we're gonna see. So fly high. That's my advice.
Well, thank you so much. It's just been a great privilege to have you with me. And so, again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And we'll see you next time.